Welcome, you curious minds, to another deep dive. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on some hidden forces and, frankly, unsung innovations shaping our world. We've got a truly fascinating stack of sources, I think. It spans from overlooked health insights affecting millions, right through to the bleeding edge of consumer tech.
And some groundbreaking innovations from places you might not expect.
Exactly. And even some surprisingly simple tips for your home. It's quite a mix.
It is quite the journey we're about to embark on. Our mission, as always, is to cut through the noise, extract those vital nuggets of knowledge, helping you connect the dots on how these diverse topics subtly or maybe profoundly impact your daily world.
Yeah.
We want to give you those aha moments, right?
Yeah.
Turning raw information into genuine understanding.
Exactly. So let's unpack this. We're talking about everything from the surprising reality of sleep health to the latest foldable phones and AI chatbots, unexpected tech origins from the U.S. Post Office, critical public safety systems.
Sustainable burial options even.
Right. Economic forecasts for your gadgets, and yeah, even a natural pest deterrent hiding in your kitchen. Get ready to be well-informed quickly. Okay, kicking things off with something deeply personal, and let's face it, often overlooked, our sleep. You might be surprised, I think, to learn about a condition that affects a huge number of women, often without them even knowing it.
Yeah, a key takeaway here is just how prevalent undiagnosed sleep apnea is, especially in women. Our sources indicate that as many as 90% of women who have sleep apnea may be completely unaware of it.
90%, that is just staggering. And the real insight here, I think, is how sleep apnea in women often, it masquerades as everyday fatigue, maybe anxiety, or even menopause symptoms.
Exactly.
Which leads to chronic misdiagnosis. It sounds like a silent, overlooked health crisis.
It really can be.
So for our listeners who might know the basics, what exactly is sleep apnea, and why is this misdiagnosis so common in women?
Okay, so sleep apnea is a condition where your breathing repeatedly stops and starts during sleep. Now, for folks who follow health tech, the key isn't just the breathing interruption itself, but the resulting oxygen desaturation and that chronic sleep fragmentation. It creates this continuous stress response in the body.
Right.
And while men often have, very pronounced, loud snoring.
The classic sign.
The classic sign, yeah. In women, snoring can be much less noticeable or even absent. Instead, women are more likely to experience these subtle symptoms like persistent daytime sleepiness, impaired focus, mood changes, things like that.
So given these subtle signs, what are the main challenges then for doctors and patients in actually getting an accurate diagnosis? And what are the long-term consequences if it's missed?
Well, because the signs are so subtle, as you said, it can easily be mistaken for anxiety, depression, or, like we mentioned, symptoms of menopause. This often leads to really significant delays in diagnosis or sometimes no diagnosis at all. And beyond that general daytime sleepiness and the mood shifts, look for things like frequent morning headaches, the kind that are there right when you wake up. Mood changes like feeling anxious, irritable, impatient, or even experiencing depression are also telltale signs.
Okay.
Forgetfulness and that kind of fuzzy thinking, difficulty thinking clearly, impaired attention, concentration, those are common too.
Right.
You might also regularly wake up with a dry mouth or sore throat, which points to impaired breathing, maybe open mouth breathing at night.
Right. That makes sense.
And maybe one of the most surprising symptoms mentioned in the sources is needing to go to the toilet more frequently at night. That can actually be a sign of sleep disruption caused by OSA, obstructive sleep apnea.
That is surprising. Are there specific factors then that contribute more to sleep apnea in women beyond the sort of general causes?
Yeah, some causes are common for both sexes, like weight gain and upper airway anatomy. But hormonal changes play a really significant role in women. Our sources highlight that sleep apnea can develop or worsen during the second and third trimesters of pregnancy.
Oh, interesting.
And it also often worsens during menopause, which, as many know, is frequently associated with weight gain, further exacerbating the condition.
Okay. So if someone listening suspects they might have it, what are the treatment options typically?
Well, the solutions are largely the same for both men and women, but it's really crucial to speak directly with a physician first. Common treatments include lifestyle changes, quitting smoking, losing weight, improving sleep hygiene, treating allergies like allergic rhinitis if that's a factor.
The basics.
The basics. For more severe cases, a continuous positive airway pressure machine, or CPAP.
The CPAP machine, yeah.
Right. That mask and machine combo is considered the first-line treatment. It's effective for all severities of obstructive sleep apnea. Another alternative, maybe for mild to moderate cases, is an oral mouthguard. It's designed to keep the throat open while you sleep.
I can see how that mechanism works. Okay, now, still on sleep, we also found some interesting insights into something called light sleep. I've seen sleep trackers mention this, right? And sometimes it sounds like it's a bad thing, like you want less of it. Is that actually true?
Ah, this brings us to a really crucial point about how we interpret data from wearables. Sleep trackers often label light sleep pretty vaguely, and yeah, people can get alarmed if they think they're getting too much of it compared to deep sleep.
Right.
But sleep professionals, they actually monitor brain activity EEGs to define sleep stages, which wearables typically, well, they don't do that. They estimate based on movement and heart rate.
So, light sleep is far from just filler time, it sounds like. It's actually crucial for brain function. The aha moment here seems to be that it's not just about hitting deep REM cycles. The quality and patterns within light sleep, especially those sleep spindles and K complexes you mentioned, are foundational for memory consolidation, how your brain filters information, basically making your brain more efficient for the next day.
That's a great way to put it. Light sleep encompasses what researchers call non-REM 1 and non-REM 2 sleep stages. NREM 1 is super brief, that transition from wakefulness, maybe 5% of your night.
Okay.
NREM 2, though, that's significant. It accounts for about 50%, half of your total sleep. And far from being bad, it's essential. It's during NREM 2 that specific neural activity patterns like those sleep spindles and K complexes occur, and they're involved in crucial brain processes. Learning, memory, how your brain processes stimuli, even while you're asleep.
That really is an aha moment. It's not just filler at all. What else happens during these light sleep stages?
Well, during light sleep, your heart rate slows down, your brain waves also slow down, and your body temperature decreases.
Yeah.
This temperature drop is actually thought to help conserve energy before your brain temperature increases during REM sleep.
Interesting.
And unlike REM sleep, which involves rapid eye movement and is when we typically dream, eye movement stops completely during NREM 2 sleep.
And what if you do feel like you're consistently spending too much time in light sleep, or you just don't feel rested?
Yeah, if you're consistently spending too much time in light sleep without properly cycling into deep sleep, simply won't feel good. It's straightforward. You might experience persistent daytime irritability, fatigue, mood swings, just general sleep deprivation symptoms.
Okay.
Now, you can't directly control which specific stages your brain goes into. There's a homeostatic process, meaning your brain kind of knows how much deep sleep it needs based on your day.
Right.
But maintaining a consistent sleep schedule, practicing good sleep hygiene, aiming for that 7 to 9 hours a night, that will naturally help you experience full and healthy sleep cycles, including the right amounts of light and deep sleep.
Our internal health is powered by incredible biology, for sure. But what about the incredible hardware we carry every day? Let's talk about the relentless push in consumer tech. Starting with Samsung's new Galaxy Z Fold 7. The reviews are in.
Right. And a key takeaway from the reviews seems to be Samsung's clear focus on making this foldable feel more like a, well, normal phone when it's closed. It's now their thinnest foldable yet, at just 8.9 millimeters thick when folded. And the outer screen has expanded to 6.5 inches with a standard aspect ratio.
Okay.
The reviewer even mentioned sometimes forgetting they were using a folding phone when it's closed, which, I mean, that's a significant leap for usability.
That is a huge step for foldables. They've always felt a bit chunky, haven't they?
Definitely.
So it's thin, it sounds luxurious, but there's always a trade-off, right? What's the catch?
True. Well, the first catch is the price. It starts at $1,999.
Oof. Okay.
Yeah. And even with the improvements, the outer screen apparently isn't as sharp or pleasant in bright light as the one on the much cheaper Galaxy S25 Ultra. So this brings us to a crucial consideration for you, the listener. Is that unique foldable experience worth the premium price and maybe some slight compromises on individual features like the screen?
Good question. What about performance and that all-important battery life for a device this ambitious?
It runs on a Snapdragon 8 Elite chipset, handles demanding tasks like gaming very well, apparently without getting too hot under normal use.
That's good.
Battery life is decent for a foldable, lasting through a day of moderate use. However, under extreme conditions, like using it as a hotspot on a very hot patio, the review noted it did start closing apps to cool down.
Ah, okay. A thermal limit there. Any surprising downsides on the physical design or durability?
Yeah, there are a couple mentioned. The phone still feels a bit stiff when opening, and the camera bump is quite prominent, apparently causing the phone to wobble significantly on flat surfaces.
Oh, that's annoying.
Yeah, making a case feel almost like a necessity, which kind of counteracts the thinness a bit.
True.
Furthermore, it still lacks a formal dust resistance rating. It's only IP48, which means it's water-resistant, but only immune to very small particles, not necessarily specks of dust you might encounter.
Still a concern for foldables. So for anyone thinking of pre-ordering, what are the current incentives? Are there deals?
There are. Pre-order perks expire July 24th, so that's coming up quick.
Yeah.
You can get up to $1,100 in trade-in credit, which could potentially cut the price in half.
Wow.
Samsung also offers bonus credit from $50 to $350 depending on whether you trade in a device, but you have to use it at checkout or you forfeit it. So be aware of that.
Good tip.
Plus, some retailers, Samsung itself, T-Mobile, Best Buy, Amazon, are offering the 512GB model for the price of the 256GB model. And Amazon's even throwing in a $300 gift card, last I checked.
Okay, some decent incentives there. Now, speaking of new phones, Nothing also just launched their first true flagship, the Nothing Phone 3. How does that stack up, especially against the big names like Samsung?
Right, the Nothing Phone 3. It's priced at $799, putting it squarely against the Pixel 9, Galaxy S25, iPhone 16, and the critical point that emerges in the reviews seems to be its divisive design. It ditches the signature glyph interface, those lights on the back.
Yeah, the unique thing about Nothing phones.
Exactly. It ditches that for a smaller glyph matrix, which is a circular dot matrix display. While it can show icons, time, battery level, the reviewer found it less unique, and the rest of the phone's rear oddly bare with asymmetric camera placement. So, a bold choice.
So it sounds like maybe a potentially bold design choice that might prioritize a certain aesthetic over maybe broader appeal or even the previous utility.
Possibly, to some extent. While it does boast a larger 5,150 mAh battery and pretty fast 65W charging, plus generous 12GB RAM and 256GB storage even at the base model.
Okay, specs sound good.
Yeah, but its Snapdragon 8S Gen 4 chipset is considered a bit lower end for a flagship in that price range. And its cameras, while they have triple 50MP sensors, apparently still lag behind top competitors, especially in low light conditions.
Gotcha. Okay, now let's talk about something that's been absolutely dominating the news, AI chatbots. GPT-5 is on the horizon, but how's it really shaping up against the competition now?
Yeah, the arrival of GPT-5 is highly anticipated, expected sometime this summer, and it promises to be the most powerful version of ChatGPT yet. But what truly stands out now, I think, is how much the competition has closed the gap since GPT-4 launched over 2 years ago. That's a long time in AI.
Ancient history.
Pretty much. Companies like Anthropic with Claude, Google with Gemini, xAI with Grok, they've made really significant strides, especially in coding abilities, where they've actually outperformed OpenAI in certain benchmarks recently.
Wow. So the pace of AI development is just staggering.
Yeah.
With competitors closing that gap, what's OpenAI's strategy for GPT-5? Is it just about regaining the lead, or can they maintain it in this landscape?
That's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? The expectation is that GPT-5 will likely regain OpenAI's lead in areas like coding, overall performance memory, especially with that recent announcement of ChatGPT agent features. But this begs the question. Given this rapid pace, how long can any company realistically maintain that top position? Meta, Google, Anthropic? They are pouring vast resources into research. It ensures that the lead, whoever has it, probably won't last long. It's a constant race.
Constant leapfrogging. Now, you've been doing a deep dive into Google's Gemini Pro specifically. What's the verdict there?
Right, Gemini Pro, the $20 a month version, it has seen tremendous improvements lately. It offers much higher quality responses now, with greatly reduced hallucinations, those made-up answers, compared to its previous versions.
That's key.
Very key. And its integration with Google services like Search and Maps gives it a significant edge in certain tasks. It's also faster, generally, than ChatGPT's comparable free model, GPT 3.5, or O3 as some call it.
Okay. You mentioned vibe coding earlier when we were prepping. That sounds really intriguing. Can you tell us more about that?
It truly is fascinating. Vibe coding essentially means, well, coding by talking through your ideas with the AI. The reviewer we looked at, with virtually no prior coding experience, was able to create a fully functioning Chrome extension just by explaining issues in plain English and having Gemini generate and then fix the code iteratively.
Wow.
It was described as a really fascinating and impactful experience. Kind of shows the potential for lowering the barrier to entry for programming.
That's incredible. Any surprising shortcomings for Gemini Pro despite all that power?
Surprisingly, yes. For all its smarts, its shopping capabilities are apparently quite lackluster compared to ChatGPT. While it can research products, it doesn't provide direct links to stores or incorporate images effectively. It makes it less like a helpful sales associate and more like just basic research retrieval.
That is a curious omission. And what about the big privacy question everyone has with AI? Can you actually stop Gemini from training on your conversations, your data?
This brings us to a crucial consideration: user control. And yes, you can opt out. Google does collect your prompts, replies, device info, location feedback, and uses it to train its models.
Right.
To opt out, you need to go into your Google account settings, find the Gemini Activity tab, and turn off Gemini Apps activity.
Okay.
Now, doing that makes your experience less personalized, and your chat history won't be saved after 72 hours, but it does give you more control. It's crucial to remember, though, that any chats already reviewed by human reviewers at Google are retained for up to 3 years, separate from your account. But you can manually delete your past activity history.
Good to know.
And the good news is, it's reversible. If you opt out and change your mind, you can turn it back on.
Okay, helpful clarification. Lastly in the segment, let's switch gears to gaming. For any retro gaming fans listening, Nintendo Switch Online has apparently been something of a revelation.
It really seems to be. Our sources confirm it. Nintendo Switch Online, or NSO, costs significantly less than PlayStation Plus or Xbox Game Pass, just $20 a year for the base subscription.
Yeah, much cheaper.
And it seems to have reignited passions for classic gaming. It offers this curated library of over 100 NES and SNES titles. Plus, the expansion pack adds N64, Game Boy Advance, and Sega Genesis games, along with DLC for some modern Switch titles.
It sounds like Nintendo Switch Online is really tapping into a deep well of nostalgia. I mean, I remember spending hours trying to beat those old NES levels. That rewind function you mentioned sounds like pure magic for my past self.
Doesn't it?
How is the actual experience playing these old games on a modern console?
The emulation quality for the NES and SNES games is reportedly very good, almost like direct ports of those classic mini-consoles they released.
Okay.
While some users have critiqued the 3D emulation for N64 and maybe GameCube games in the past, the reviewer we looked at found them perfectly adequate, enjoyable even. But what truly stands out are those quality-of-life features, like the rewind function for tricky sections.
Lifesaver.
Totally. And the ability to create up to 4 save states per game, so you can pick up exactly where you left off.
Nice. And are those classic CRT filters included? You know, the ones that make it look like an old TV? That's kind of essential for the authentic retro feel, isn't it?
Yes, absolutely. They're included and pretty essential for replicating that authentic look. Different filters are used for the 8-bit, 16-bit, and 64 and Game Boy games, aiming to blend pixels and add depth, just like they would have appeared on the original CRT TVs or those old dot matrix displays. It's a key detail, as you say, for truly feeling like a kid again.
Okay, moving from the gadgets we use every day to some of the bigger systems that shape our world. Let's turn our attention to an institution you probably don't immediately think of as a tech innovator, the U.S. Post Office.
This is truly a surprising revelation, I think.
Yeah.
Most people, myself included probably, treat the Postal Service like a black box, right?
Yeah.
You put a letter in and it just appears somewhere else.
Magically.
Magically. But our deep dive into the material reveals that for over 250 years, the USPS has quietly been right at the forefront of technological innovation in many ways.
Pioneering aviation really caught my eye in the sources. How on earth did the post office do that?
It's an amazing story. In 1918, the USPS partnered with the Army Signal Corps to launch airmail using leftover World War I aircraft, basically biplanes.
Wow.
This was incredibly dangerous work. 34 pilots died just between 1918 and 1927.
Jeez.
But in doing so, the Postal Service literally had to develop everything. The concept of airports, radio communication for planes, navigation systems, because commercial aviation simply didn't exist yet.
They built the infrastructure.
They built it. Once they proved reliable air delivery was possible, Congress allowed them to contract those services out to commercial companies. And those companies quickly realized they could make even more money carrying passengers. This laid the entire groundwork for major airlines we know today, like American and United. It started with mail delivery.
That's an absolutely incredible origin story for commercial aviation. What other, maybe slightly wilder innovations did they try?
Well, there was even a mail-by-missile experiment in 1959.
You're kidding! Mail by missile.
Not kidding. A Regulus I-Cruise missile carried 3,000 letters about 100 miles in 23 minutes. It was probably more of a Cold War stunt showing off capabilities than a practical idea. It never took off, partly because missiles just couldn't carry enough mail volume to be efficient.
Can you imagine? Okay, how about on the ground with mail processing? What breakthroughs did they make there?
Well, they moved from completely manual pigeonhole sorting to electromechanical sorting machines back in the 1950s. But arguably, the single biggest innovation was the ZIP code in 1963.
Ah, the ZIP code. Seems so simple now.
Seems simple, but this 5-digit code revolutionized mail sorting because it allowed mailing lists to finally be digitized and processed by computers. It enabled automation on a massive scale.
And there were also pioneers in AI and OCR. That seems incredibly advanced for the time.
It really was. The USPS started sending large volumes of mail through optical character recognition, or OCR machines, way back in 1965.
65.
Yeah, essentially a digital eye to recognize typed addresses. This was pioneering automated reading of documents, a truly revolutionary step in information processing back then. They even began using handwriting recognition in 1999. And today, their OCR accuracy is apparently near 98% for handwritten mail and 99.5% for machine printed.
That's incredible.
They used to have up to 55 remote encoding centers where humans would look at images of unreadable handwriting. Now they're down to just one. It's truly a testament to how the USPS has been a quiet driver of technological change.
That dive into the post office's history really shows how established institutions can be these silent powerhouses of progress. And this leads us to another critical area where tech intersects with daily life and public good, the evolving role of smart home security, specifically systems like Ring. There are some serious implications here.
Yes, this brings us right back to that crucial consideration: the balance between public safety and personal privacy. Ring, which is owned by Amazon, is now partnering with Axon, the company that makes tasers and police body cams, to allow law enforcement to request footage from users' doorbell cameras again.
Okay, so this reverses their previous decision about police access, doesn't it? I remember they stopped that.
That's exactly right. In early 2024, Ring actually ended its request for assistance feature through its Neighbors app. They framed it as a shift towards being more community-focused.
Right.
But now, the return of Ring founder Jamie Siminoff to a leadership role, who's reportedly pushing a hyper-AI agenda, seems to be behind this reversal and the rekindling of those law enforcement ties.
And what does this actually mean for users of Ring devices? What changes?
Well, under this new partnership, police can request video footage via Axon's evidence management system, which many departments already use. But what's potentially even more impactful is that Ring is exploring an option for users to consent to live streaming their doorbell feeds directly to law enforcement during an event.
Live streaming? Wow, that raises some questions.
It certainly does. It's reportedly raised eyebrows even internally at Ring, with some employees expressing concerns about how the footage will be used, the privacy implications, especially considering Ring just settled a $5.8 million FTC lawsuit in 2023 over allegations of employees improperly accessing and spying on user videos.
Yeah, that context is important. Okay, this whole area highlights the critical importance of effective alert systems too, especially for things like natural disasters. Flash floods have been causing such havoc recently.
Indeed. Those recent deadly flash floods across the U.S. have really highlighted significant failures in some warning systems. The core issue, according to experts, is often what they call the last mile problem.
The last mile.
Yeah, translating complex weather forecasts into timely, actionable messages that people can actually understand and, crucially, respond to. Getting the warning from the forecaster to the person in danger effectively.
So it's not just about predicting the weather accurately, but about communicating what the weather does and how people need to react.
Precisely. The shift is towards what's called impact-based forecasting. The goal is to relay messages that help people understand what actions to take to stay safe. Turn around, don't drown, seek higher ground now, not just telling them what the weather will be.
Okay.
Without prior planning and pre-scripted messages, local alerting authorities might find themselves staring at a blank box when trying to craft a clear warning message in the heat of a rapidly evolving emergency.
So what does an actually good flash flood alert system look like then? What are the components?
Experts say it requires an all-of-the-above approach, or what some call a Swiss cheese model.
Swiss cheese, like with holes.
Exactly. No single warning strategy is perfect. Each has holes or weaknesses. But by layering multiple methods, you reduce the overall risk that someone falls through the cracks.
Ah, okay. Makes sense.
This means connecting the forecasters, who identify vulnerable populations, with the emergency managers, who can then deliver tailored messages through multiple channels. A strong message needs to clearly convey who it's from, what the hazard is actually doing, the specific location and timing of the threat, and very clear actions people should take.
And what are those multiple layers, those slices of Swiss cheese you mentioned?
Well, we're talking about everything from outdoor sirens, which are still critical for reaching people outdoors, maybe without cell service,
Right.
to things like call trees, where community members or volunteers call each other. That human touch can be vital, especially for those who might be skeptical of government alerts or face language barriers. Wireless emergency alerts, the WEA system that pushes alerts to smartphones, are also critical because they don't require people to opt in. They hit almost every phone in an area.
Yeah, those are effective, but sometimes annoying.
Well, that leads to a concerning issue called alert fatigue.
Ah, yes, I've definitely heard about that. Like when people get maybe too many blue alerts for injured police officers or amber alerts from far away.
That's a perfect example. If non-life-threatening alerts, like some blue alerts, are sent through the same high-priority imminent threat channel as extreme weather warnings, people might get frustrated and opt out of the entire category.
Which is dangerous.
It's really dangerous because it means they then miss potentially life-saving flood warnings or tornado warnings. The Swiss cheese approach helps mitigate these gaps. It ensures that if one message channel is missed or ignored, there's hopefully another way to reach people, especially given challenges like floods often occurring in the dead of night when phones might be silenced.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, let's transition now to something truly unique and environmentally conscious. Mushroom caskets for green burial.
This is a really fascinating intersection of science, design, and a very personal human experience. A company called Loop Biotech has developed the living cocoon, which is a biodegradable casket made entirely from mycelium that's the root structure of mushrooms.
Mycelium. Okay.
And the first burial in North America using one of these just took place recently in Maine.
Mycelium for a casket. That almost sounds like science fiction. What's the actual benefit of choosing this kind of option?
Well, the core idea is to leave a gentler impact on the environment, on the living world. The casket itself biodegrades completely in about 45 days in the soil.
45 days. Wow.
Yeah. But what's truly impactful, biologically, is that because fungi are natural decomposers, they help break down organic matter. The body inside can decompose much faster, potentially in just 2 to 3 years. That's significantly faster than the decades it might take in a typical sealed casket and vault. And this process also actively enriches the soil.
So it's really about minimizing the waste and pollution associated with traditional burials.
Precisely. Conventional burials in the U.S., for example, annually use millions of gallons of toxic embalming fluid, vast amounts of hardwood, tons of steel, copper, bronze, and reinforced concrete for vaults.
It adds up.
It really does. Green burials, which can also use other natural materials like woven seagrass or bamboo shrouds, aim to encourage natural decomposition and just promote sustainability.
And I read there's an interesting human element to the design itself, too.
Yes, the architect who founded Loop Biotech, Bob Hendricks, specifically designed the living cocoon to be soft to the touch and have rounded edges. He describes it as something that you can actually hug, which he felt could be really nice, maybe comforting for families during the grieving process.
That's a thoughtful touch.
Yeah. And Marcia Anker, whose father was the first buried in one in the U.S., noted that he had always said he wanted to be buried naked in the woods. This casket allowed for a sustainable way for him to become, in her words, part of the soil and feed the plants, with her family planning to plant a memorial garden on the site. It's a different way of thinking about the end of life and returning to nature.
A very different perspective indeed. Okay, let's shift one last time and look at how global economics might affect your next tech purchase. We're talking about tariffs and their potential impact on prices.
All right, this is a very dynamic situation, something to keep an eye on. The possibility of new or increased tariff rates on imports from places like the European Union, Mexico, Canada, and various countries in Southeast Asia is creating significant uncertainty for consumers.
So what kinds of products could realistically see price increases if these tariffs were to kick in?
The experts we consulted specifically warned about potential price increases on big-ticket items, things like laptops, smartphones, gaming consoles, electric cars, smart home gadgets, and major home appliances.
Okay, a lot of electronics.
A lot of electronics. Also, products like drones, car parts, clothing, and even things like Christmas lights could be affected, depending on where they're sourced.
But how much of an increase are we actually talking about? Like, if there's a 50% tariff, does that mean a 50% price hike for us?
Not necessarily, especially not immediately or directly. One expert pointed out that even a hypothetical 50% tariff rate likely wouldn't translate instantly to a 50% price increase for the consumer. Maybe more like 5% or 10% as companies absorb some costs or adjust supply chains. However, another expert warned more starkly that consumer tech products could see average price increases of up to 20% in the short term if broad tariffs are applied. There's some disagreement on the exact impact.
So given that uncertainty, what's the pragmatic advice for someone maybe planning a big tech purchase soon?
Well, given that tariffs specifically on semiconductors could really hit things like smartphones, laptops, and tablets, the blunt warning from one expert was essentially to consider purchasing sooner rather than later.
A heads up,
Oh,
basically.
exactly. We have past examples like Microsoft raising Xbox console prices citing tariffs, and Nintendo reporting similar supply chain cost issues due to tariffs previously. It basically means your dollar might not buy as much tech in a few months as it does right now, depending on how things play out politically and economically.
Good to keep in mind. All right, finally, we have a surprisingly simple everyday solution that you might find right in your kitchen, using coffee grounds to deter ants.
Yes, this is a simple, non-chemical hack for a really common summer nuisance. Ants are notoriously good at finding food in swarming homes, right?
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it.
But our sources indicate that used coffee grounds can actually act as a natural deterrent.
Why do ants hate coffee grounds? It seems kind of counterintuitive. Does this mean my morning brew isn't just waking me up, it's also moonlighting as a pest deterrent? Who knew my coffee addiction was good for the garden, too?
Huh. Well, it seems to be twofold. First, ants really dislike strong scents, and the potent smell of coffee disrupts their chemical trails, making it harder for them to navigate and find food sources. It works much like how vinegar can deter them.
Okay, the smell.
And second, they apparently dislike the physical texture of the grounds. The sources described it as them not liking the feeling of them underfoot due to the abrasive properties.
They're fussy walkers, apparently. Okay, and is it just ants that coffee grounds can repel?
No, that's right. Research also showed that the caffeine, which is toxic to some insects and mollusks, and those abrasive properties, make coffee grounds effective in repelling slugs and snails as well.
Oh, useful. So how do you use them?
Simply sprinkle a barrier of the used grounds around potential entry points to your home, cracks, doorways, windowsills. But remember to replace them regularly, maybe every few days or after rain, as they become less effective once they completely dry out and the scent fades.
Right.
Using them straight from your coffee maker while they're still moist is probably ideal. Or you can just rehydrate dry grounds with a bit of water. Easy and free if you're already making coffee.
Oh, what a truly illuminating discussion today, covering such a diverse range of topics. Wow, we really traversed so many fascinating landscapes, didn't we? From the, intricate workings of our own bodies and those hidden challenges of sleep apnea, to the sleek new designs of foldable phones, the intense competition in the AI world, and even that surprising history of innovation lurking within the post office.
And hopefully we connected those dots for you, showing how everything from new green burial methods to potential economic tariffs and even humble coffee grounds play a part in the larger picture of technology in our daily lives. Our aim is always to equip you with those vital insights and hopefully spark your curiosity a bit.
Definitely. So as we wrap up this deep dive, maybe consider this provocative thought. How many other unnoticed technological drivers are shaping your world right now? From the way your body rests at night, to the hidden economic forces behind the products you're thinking about buying, and even the natural solutions right outside your door or in your kitchen. What other seemingly mundane aspects of daily life might be hiding these surprising layers of innovation or unexpected impact?
Yeah, keep that in mind as you move through your day. We definitely encourage you to keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep seeking out those deeper understandings.
We certainly hope you found this deep dive as illuminating and interesting as we did putting it together. Until next time, keep being curious.